What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Don't Sleep podcast. I'm your host, DSanglay, and today we have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, and one of my mentors, Rich Robledo.
Appreciate
it,
Dick. Thanks, man.
How are you?
Amazing. Yourself?
Very, very good. Busy, right? And
Good.
I'm very grateful that you were able to hop on the podcast before we got to the 10th episode.
Nothing to motivate me like a little ego and vanity. Come on, Rich. I want you to
sir.
be one of the first 10. And I'm like,
You
I
got
gotta
to
make a move.
You got to, man, because we got a lot of great guests, right, coming on in the future episodes. So again, thank you for this, man. Thank you for the time.
I appreciate it.
For the people that don't know, who is Rich Robledo?
Rich Robledo is a real estate broker, community connector, amazing father, and an involved dad and husband.
I love that, man. I love that. For the people that didn't know, Rich and I actually met at Blake Wynn's event at Luso, right, Enclave and Key. What finally got into your head and was like, all right, I got to finally meet with Dylan?
Persistence.
Right. I remember you telling me that.
I get approached by a lot of people wanting to connect, wanting to just a small period of my time, and bro, like clockwork, Rich, what can I do? I need to sit down and chat with you. Let's go ahead and do this. And it was the persistence almost a year ago.
Right. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Been a year.
Yeah, and I told you, I said, the only reason I'm sitting down with you is because you didn't give up.
Yep.
And then we had that first coffee, and I remember you're saying like, damn, you gave me a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And, that's why, because everybody wants to talk and everybody wants to say, I'm going to do, or let's connect. And
They never do it.
yeah. And it was your persistence, because I usually wait till the fifth or sixth time to see if it's, worth my time.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So it was your persistence, man.
That's very important, especially in business, life, right? And anything that you do is persistence and consistency.
Yeah.
Right? So, you're the real estate guy, okay? So even before you got into your entrepreneurial journey, talk to us about that, right? What were you doing back then before you were like, all right, I want to be an entrepreneur?
It was all by default, man. I never said I want to get into business for myself. I was in the military first, and I think that first job made me figure out that I don't kind of want somebody telling me what to do.
Right.
The rest of my life.
Right.
And then I was going to go to college, and I was spending my last summer here in Vegas before I went to Reno to UNR. Cable guy came over, started talking to the cable guy, and he said, you should come apply. And that was my first sales experience, was working for the cable company, where I was selling cable to apartment complexes. And fast forward there for 5 years, one of their top salesmen, and then I bought my second home. And a friend of mine was my real estate agent, and he would show me houses in shorts and T-shirts. I'm like, man, what do you do? He goes, this is what I do. And at that time, I had a mobile detail company. I was doing nightclub promotions, and I was working for the cable company. And Mike Unroe goes, Rich, you should do real estate.
There you go.
I'm like, Mike.
What age was this?
I was 20. That was 97, 2001. It's 24, 25.
Damn. So that's my age right now, 24.
Yeah. So he goes, you should do real estate. I'm like, Mike, I'm just buying my second home. I'm doing okay. And he said, I promise you, if you were to do real estate, you would make more than all three things combined.
Wow.
And I'm like, why? What? If you see that, what makes you see that? And he goes, Rich, to be honest, he goes, people don't love me. He goes, everybody loves you. He goes, so you would do amazing in sales, right? And larger purchases instead of the smaller cable sales. And that, Dylan, in hindsight, was, now sitting here talking to you, is somebody seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself.
I see.
Right?
I
He
see.
goes, people love you, Rich. He goes, and if I can do it, you should be able to do twice what I do.
I mean, I've seen that. You know what I mean? I've seen that firsthand with your events, which we'll talk about later on. And just, our initial meetings, right? Coffee Bean, Four Seasons, here at Red Rock Country Club. And I asked you one day, I think it was here actually, I was like, how do you get people's respect, right? And you told me Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dream. You want to speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So one of my coaches told me, man, he goes, I asked him, how do I connect with people? And he goes, well, you should never be at a loss for conversation, because you can always ask somebody about their family.
Right.
Always ask somebody about their occupation, ask somebody about their recreation. And he goes, and if you want to dig deep, you ask somebody what their dreams are.
Correct.
Right? Because very seldom is somebody asked what they want to aspire to. What is it that they want to give away? What is it that they think that they wouldn't be able to do,
Right.
that they want to aspire to? And then you talk to somebody about their dreams and you walk away, 9 out of 10 times that person's going to want to talk to you again.
Exactly. Because you make them feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember you for forever.
Yeah.
That's
People seldom will remember what you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
I love that. Yes, sir. That's very,
Huh?
very
Little
true.
nugget for you, guy.
Very, very true, man. So, that's great for our next segue, which is, a lot of the nuggets you told me, right? And the first one I want to talk about is when you told me to retire your girl, right? Because I was talking about retire my parents. I'm like, I want to retire my parents. And then you told me, like, well, is that what they want? Is that what they want to do? Do they want to retire early? And you were like, you should think about them. You should think about what they want rather than what you want to give them. And then you're like, you should just retire your girl instead, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's a lot of things that we want to do that we think we would want to do for somebody else, right? Well, maybe this is what I would like. And you're talking about your parents and you're like, I don't think that they would want to retire after I asked you that. And then we talked about your girl, and find a way to give that's meaningful to release stress off of somebody. Right. And that's a huge motivation for me, right? Is try to help others so they could do more for themselves.
Correct. As a community connector, right? What are different things that you look for in individuals that you want to work with as far as like business, real estate, and just, in life?
Yeah, well, the community connection, man, I feel it is our responsibility as Las Vegans, first, as Nevadans, second, to take care of our community, right? So I'm looking at people that are value driven, that are looking to give back and not just take from the state, right? So that's what the community connectors, I want to show people what is possible, right? We had, we're going to talk about it, Cigars and Conversation.
Yes, sir.
We had the governor out.
Yep, Joe Lombardo.
Right? And he only came out because of my work the last 20 years in the community.
Yes, sir.
Because of what I've done, when I reached out, he goes, I'd love to be here.
Nice.
Right? So he came out for that, and I believe
that was awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Politics has got a bad name. It's got, and it is. It's an ugly game at times. But if we do not get involved, and it's guys your age, 23 to 34, that don't know how to get involved in politics and don't know the different avenues and don't know what the city is struggling with, we need to help. Right? So I want guys that want to help the community, that are helping their family and business, that are, wanting to have a good time. Right? So those are the guys I kind of want to run with, man. And you see them, at Cigars and Conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Cigars and Conversation is something that even before you actually did it, we were talking about it, right? So let's talk about Cigars and Conversation.
Cigars and Conversation, these started because 3 guys see me on social media smoking cigars, and they want to hang out.
Nice.
And I don't have the time to hang out with new people.
Right.
I don't have the time really to hang out with friends I've had for 20 years.
Wow.
So it was this year in January, my wife asked me, and she goes, are those guys still want to smoke? And yeah, like whenever I post something, they want to hang out. And
yeah.
She goes, remember how difficult it was for you to reach out to somebody and ask them for help?
Right.
I said, yeah. She goes, you have to do something for them. So I asked all 3 when it was possible for an evening for us to get together, and it was Thursday, and I made it at 6 o'clock because all three work. So they can get off of work at 5.
There you go.
Stay a little bit late. They can show up at 6, and just wanted to do it at 8. So from 6 to 8, kind of like happy hour. And
Right.
some of the young guys showed up, man. And I asked the three guys, I'm like, listen, if you guys are going to show up, I'm going to put it on Instagram, and then I'm going to invite a couple of my friends.
Wow.
So
that's how the idea came about.
yeah, because I don't see the guys I want to see. So it was that small idea, and then all three were like, hey, man, let's do a private Facebook group. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm like, this is it. Much. We get one and done. Like, we're good. I don't want to use the time to set it up. And then on the way out, the evening ended with 6 of my friends talking to a friend of mine. And a friend of mine had extremely successful, sold and taken a company public, and is doing amazing things. But you could see him chatting, and the 6 guys were asking questions.
Wow.
Right? And then at that moment, when I'm having a cigar with, it was Luwan from Berna.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sitting there having a cigar. I'm like, I'll do it again. And then I figured by the third one, if I'm going to do it again, I need to think of something to provide value for people showing up. Right? And my value is because it's my event, and I'm just going to talk about things that are important to me. So I kind of have speakers coming. They get 5 to 10 minutes. I just want them to give the people there quick nuggets, and then they're going to stay and hang out afterwards, so that if they connect with my friends, then it's their job to further that relationship. My job is just to bring awareness to certain causes that are important to me.
Right. I mean, I met so many amazing people at Cigars and Conversation. So will Cigars and Conversation be a private event soon? Is it something that you're thinking about maybe potentially having people pay, or what's the future looking like for Cigars and Conversation?
It's a great question, and I struggle with it. I struggle with it because I don't know if I want to monetize something that I want to give a value. I do have, and it's been weird to see some of my friends, and I had to make rules because some of my guys were like, Rich, I want to hang out with you. I don't want some of these young guys around, type thing. And I'm like, what's the young guys I think are getting the most value? And then what would you pay for it? I had one guy said, he goes, man, with the people I've met, I'd pay you $1,000 a month.
That's crazy.
He goes, because every time I leave with an idea that helps me.
I see. Yes, sir.
He goes, that is my mastermind. Like, that is my group. Like, and I want to meet people. Yeah. And then one guy was like, well, I don't even know if I don't know if I'd pay for it. Right. And then
so it's either one or the other. Like,
it's one or the other, man. And then it's one or the other. And then I was thinking, like, listen, I've got a good group of people I could invite, and maybe I charge a small monthly fee, $20 or $30, but then every 6 months do a dinner with a guest. And the only way you get the invitation to that dinner is if you've been a member for the previous 6 months.
I see.
And then we could do a private dinner at a restaurant, followed up by cigars afterwards, where you can ask this person, one-on-one questions, but the dinner's going to have a cost as well.
Right.
But could you imagine being in a room with a special forces guy or guy that's worth a couple $100 million?
Exactly.
Or a politician, in high-ranking office to kind of have a one-on-one and say, hey, man, how about this, or how about that type stuff? That's the value.
Because, I mean, a lot of people won't even get that opportunity, right? You're opening a lot of doors for a lot of younger people, or, not even younger people, but even older people that really want to get into something new, right? What is the rules of Cigars and Conversation, right? For anyone that would want to come to a future event.
I think the number one rule is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Right? And I think when I say that, it's Because if you're new to networking or new to going to events, we all feel we have to bring a false bravado into a room of some hitters. So that's the reminder, and I got rule number 1 from a good friend of mine who owns a restaurant, Natalie Young. She used to have these fried chicken pop-ups, and she had rules, and it was her rules of engagement. She goes, don't be a dick. Introduce yourself to somebody you don't know,
Right.
and start a conversation. So I got those initial rules from a friend of mine, and I've had to add rules to it, like don't be a pushy salesperson.
Right. That's very true.
Use this as an event to connect. Nobody wants to be sold, right?
Yep, exactly.
There is one of the first events, there was a table of 6 friends sitting there talking to each other. And I went over and I told them, I'm like, if you wanted to do this, you should have done this at home. What you've done is taken up a table with you guys, and all you guys know each other.
Right. Right.
Don't use my environment to hang out with your friends that you could do at home.
Exactly.
Here it's, you know, it's the conversation, it's the collision when you actually have to introduce yourself to somebody.
Correct.
Where magic happens.
Correct.
Right? Be authentic. Be yourself. I want you to just
chill,
relax.
Yep.
Because for those 2 hours, it should be I don't want to say like a safe space. Like you can have everybody at different levels of net worth, different levels of education, different levels of places in their business, to kind of just let that, whatever you're going through, just drop. You come in, smoke, grab a drink if you want, get a cookie, like just to kind of relax. And it's fun because there's quite a few guys that will, I know a handful of guys that eat dinner before they show up, and there's more guys that eat dinner after they leave because they want to continue that evening.
Right.
Yo, let's go to T-Bones. Let's go do a Korean barbecue. Let's go. We're going here. You should come. Right? Type thing. So it's been, those are the rules. And I think once you're given rules and boundaries, it sets everybody's expectations.
I see.
Right? And you cannot be upset if I set your expectations. Dylan, these are the rules. You good with this?
Yep.
Good. Well, then come on in.
Yep.
Don't break any of them because you might not get invited again.
And I mean, Cigars and Conversation is probably the best event out here right now as far as networking goes, right? I've heard, you know, different people saying, well, what is Cigars and Conversation? You know, I tell them what it is, I tell them who you are, and, you know, sometimes I invite them, sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't think you would be good in this environment. Again, I respect you, I respect everything that you're trying to build, and I hope nothing but success and everything for this event, you know what I mean? Whatever you decide to do, if you decide to monetize it or not, right? But I want to talk about something else. We both kind of grew up in similar areas, east side of Las Vegas, right? I remember when we were talking here at Red Rock, you said you just came from one end of the mountain to this end of the mountain. Talk to us about growing up on the east side. Like, how was that? And you're here now, right? So talk to us all about that.
Yeah, my first home as an adult was Charleston and Nellis, right? And when I said I was raised on that side, I was raised in a similar situation in Texas, right? Where it was predominantly Hispanic, right? It was minority. It was, my mother was a teenage mom, right? And you always look at places that you think you'd never be able to reach. And when you reach it, you know, you kind of sit back and you get to enjoy it, right? So it is, it's, whether it's the east side of Las Vegas, the east side of LA, whether it's, you know, a bad part of Philadelphia, right? There's been arguments about nature and nurture for as long as men have been alive. I believe that as long as you have a yearning and a desire that you believe you're capable of more, you just need to find those people that help you believe in yourself, that you can get out of any situation.
Right. So when you lived in the east side, what were your top 3 locations that you wanted to move to?
And so here's a joke, D, is that I never knew Vegas really went past Pecos. It wasn't until I started selling cable that I would, you know, they put me in the bad part of town, and then I would turn that area over, and start to see what I could do in sales, and then they put me in another bad part of town, and then they continued to move me. And then one weekend, the gentleman that was installing cable for his apartment complex didn't show up, and I went to Green Valley, and I saw the
beautiful
apartments
houses
that were beautiful.
Yep.
And I'm like, I didn't know this was here.
Right.
So I really started to learn about the different parts of the valley in the cable sales, and then when I got into real estate, right? So it took me being into real estate to see what was really possible for others.
Right. Our good friend Peter Krause was talking about sales and marketing. So when you were in cable, what skills did you take into real estate that helped you out?
Being able to connect with people, right? And it's a skill that's not taught, rapport. And it's really just speaking to them, being able to speak to anybody at their language level and comfort level for them to make a decision.
I see.
Nobody wants to be talked down to, and nobody wants to be made felt that they're less than.
True.
And sometimes you'll watch salespeople fluctuate between those.
True.
And it's that ability to connect, to transfer that over. And Peter's an amazing example, man. But one thing I've learned from Peter, he goes, always be branding.
Very, very true. He's always putting PMK Consulting
That's
everywhere.
it. That's
Everywhere.
it. Yeah, I love that.
I wanted to talk about real estate. You could make money in real estate so many different ways. What made you want to start your own brokerage?
I'm not a fan of the large corporate brands, right? I feel that corporate marketing kind of stymies a person's growth, right? So I started at Coldwell Banker, and Coldwell Banker, the large brokerages do really well, right? And after being at Coldwell Banker, I was just like, you know what, I prefer to do my thing.
I see.
Right, so it's this thing that where, the joke is I'm like a pit bull. Like, you're not going to say what I can and can't do. So it's best for me to work for myself and make my own rules.
There you go. What kind of people do you look for as far as like adding to your team?
Similar people like myself. I'm not here.
Hustlers.
Yeah. You can't teach hustle. You either got it or you don't. And I'm not here to convince you what you're capable of.
Exactly.
I'm here to affirm what you think you can do. I'm not here to inspire, motivate, or try to get everybody up, because not everybody wants to do it.
Right.
And it takes a lot of work for me if I have to do that often.
Exactly. You always have to keep brushing them off and dusting them off every single time, right?
Yeah. There's a difference. I told a friend of mine, he goes, I said, it's hunting season. And he goes, there's quite a few hunters that go hunting and come back empty-handed.
Yep.
He goes, you got to be a killer. I said, what does that mean? He goes, you got to have somebody who has the audacity and the balls to pull the trigger.
True.
He goes, because I know quite a few people that will go hunting, and they use that as an excuse to escape. They want to get away from the house. They want to drink and party and maybe hunt for a couple hours and say that they were hunting. He goes, I want a killer.
Right.
Somebody, it's a job.
Right.
It's a description. It is a mentality that you are not afraid to do what you have to do to complete what you were asked to do.
How long does it take for you to be like, I want to keep this person on my team for the long term? There's a saying, hire slow, fire fast.
Yep, 6 months.
Okay, 6 months. So what do they have to prove to you?
That they can close a deal. And social media has made real estate to be such a glamorous life, and it's not. I mean, when you're convincing somebody to use you for their largest investment of their life, second to their kids' education, if they have children, is an honor, right? But it's difficult.
Exactly. Within this whole entrepreneurial journey, what are the craziest challenges that you've ever been through, and how did you solve them?
I'll tell you what, man, the craziest challenge for me has been working on myself.
Okay.
Right? And I think in any business, you're always going to have to deal with your fear, your doubt, your beliefs, and how you're going to get past that. Right? So how is that's been the most difficult thing. And I talk to business leaders in all different industries, and that's it. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, what's your biggest bet is believing in yourself,
Exactly.
not the industry.
Exactly.
Do you really think you're capable of doing it? I don't care if you're selling insurance, real estate, cars, financial services. Do you believe you can do it? And I spoke to some young kids, and a kid asked me, he goes, Mr. Robledo, what was your biggest investment? What was your biggest risk that you ever took? And I knew that when he asked that question, he wanted a monetary number, right? Because when you're younger, you value risk with money.
That's true. Yep.
And I had to tell him, I said, the biggest risk I ever took was betting on myself. I'll bet on myself every
Single
damn
time.
day.
Yes, sir.
Because the flag rises with me and falls with me.
That's it.
I don't have
That's
a plan B. I have no plan B.
Yep. Only plan A.
That's
right?
it.
That's it, man. I mean, people talk about it all the time, and it's like, if you have a plan B, it's like you don't really believe in yourself, right? You don't believe that you're actually going to achieve what you wanted to achieve in plan A, right?
Yeah, I don't want options.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, at what age did you make your first liquid $1 million?
Buddy, I was 37, and then I lost it all.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Talk to us about that.
Dylan, anybody can make money.
Right.
The toughest thing is
Keeping
is saying that A, you deserve it, or B, keeping it.
Wow.
Look at these athletes making hundreds of millions.
Exactly. Now they're all, a lot of them,
A lot of them are broke.
and a lot of the biggest ones are
Look
broke.
at some of these companies, man. If you were looking at the Forbes top 30 for the last 7 years, they're in prison.
That's crazy.
Think about that.
That's crazy.
Billionaires.
That's crazy. That's
Elizabeth
crazy
from
to think about.
Theranos, Sam Bankman-Fried, Binance, Nikola Trucks.
Right.
Look at the Fortune magazines, 30 under 30, and 4 or 5 the last 7 are in prison
That's
or have
crazy.
lost everything.
That's crazy, man. Damn.
Yeah. And during
Damn.
that time when I lost it all, man, I had a friend ask me, he goes, if you cannot do it again, the first time you were lucky, the first time you made it because of market conditions, and anybody can ride a rising wave. So come back to me when you've done it again.
If you ran it up once, you can run it up again.
You could, if you deserve to run it up the first time.
Exactly. How did you lose it all, if you don't mind me asking that?
Market.
The market.
Yeah, man, you settle back, looking at 2006.
So you just invested all your money back into the business?
Yeah, look at 2006 to 2008. We were in the worst recession since the Great Depression, fueled by real estate.
Wow.
7 friends of mine, colleagues and associates that I knew, committed suicide in 1 calendar year.
Wow. Because of that?
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why, in that whole period, money is just a tool. I can make $1 million, and a buddy of mine can spend that in a month.
True.
I got a friend who says, if you're making $1 million in California, I feel sorry for you. He goes, because you can't really buy a house of your dreams for $1 million if you're only making $1 million
Very, very
in
true.
California.
Very true.
He goes, I feel sorry for you. I'm like, damn, bro. He goes, well, if you're $1 million, he goes, and you're here and the cost of living and housing is this much, he goes, do you really want to buy a house that's 1,800 square feet? Can't have a party. It's $1 million house in California. He goes, I feel sorry for him.
True. I mean, the value of the dollar right now is just not the same as it was before.
No.
When you lost $1 million, right? You said you made the $1 million, you lost it. What was like the time span that you made it and then you lost it?
2.5 years.
Damn. And then when did you make it back?
10 years later.
10 years later. You made another liquid mill 10 years later.
Yeah.
So that was 47.
2008, 2018.
Wow. That's crazy, man. You know, so a lot of people won't ever get to sniff that amount of money, right? What was the skill set or blueprint that it took you to get to that first million?
Persistence.
That's it.
Persistence and examples of how to keep it.
So what are some examples of how to keep it?
Buddy, never outlive or outdo. Keep your living costs below.
And I feel like a lot of kids my age or even younger, they see all these material things and they're like, okay, I need that. I want that. I want the watch. I want the car. What is your advice to them?
They have to define what their needs and what their wants are. Everybody wants something. Nobody really needs it.
True. True.
Right? And you can say back, I've had this girl, oh, I want the life you have. And I'm like, you sure?
Yep.
There's a lot to do to keep it.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm sometimes envious of the, of the person who life has no stress. They get a check every 2 weeks, modest home, get to spend their time with their kids, right? Because here's on the flip side, D. I'm up at 5, fueled by anxiety, fear.
True.
I go to bed late at night. I have to schedule time with my family.
Right. Right.
Don't let what I have fool a lot of people. Everybody sees the things, nobody sees the grind.
Right.
Everybody sees, I want that. Well, I miss a lot of my kid stuff.
I see.
Yeah. You don't want to be told, Dad, you missed my football game.
That's true. That's true.
Right? There's that pendulum of balance. Right? Dad, you could have sacrificed your golf game to stay home to
Spend time
take
with us.
care of Sophia. Dad, haven't seen you 7 days.
Yep.
Because
You get a lot of that right now?
buddy, I'm always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm up at 5 and leave the house and come home at 7 or 8,
You have no
bedtime
time.
starts at 8:30.
Right. Right.
Sometimes the money is useless
Correct.
if you can't spend it with your kids.
Man.
Do you want the money or do you want the kids?
Whatever makes you happy.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, don't let the shine fool you. There's a lot to keep it, and there's a lot of sacrifices that people don't talk about as well.
Damn.
Ask me who my ideal client is. My typical client is on their 3rd or 4th marriage.
Oh, wow.
5-figure, 6-figure watch, 6-figure car, 7 to 8-figure home. But they've started their 3rd or 4th marriage. It's just life. Because your younger generations, and even in my generation, they don't want to work on things. So let's get a divorce. Start another one. Start another one, right? But they got all this money.
Wow. They don't want to work on it when it's hard.
Yeah, but then also on the flip side now, you have a ton of single mothers with 3 or 4 different fathers. It's going to be rough for our next generation. Because who's raising those kids? What is one of the biggest thing lacking is mentorship for both females and males. I'll tell people, community starts at home. Can't worry about you want what they want. If I'm not giving to my kids first, then what community do I really have? And you can only give from a cup that runs over. Because I can't continuously give if I'm robbing myself of peace, tranquility, and time.
Yep. And your own happiness.
That's it. If you live for the cheers, you'll die by the booze.
That clip is going to be crazy.
I mean, that's the thing with society. Everybody wants everybody's applause. Everybody compares their chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 20. You know what I mean? And then it's the good and bad of social media in today's times. And you're like, yo, this is what I went through. This is what I have to go through. This is where I have to step back. This is where I got to just unplug. Right? And that's why I started Cigars and Conversation, because of remember how difficult it was for you to ask somebody for help. I said, you're right.
True.
So I got to give back. I owe it to these guys. And that night that the governor was here, man, I got 3 phone calls. I got 3 phone calls from friends that they could not believe that the governor of Nevada was at Cigars and Conversation. Number 1. Number 2, they could not believe that they met him.
Right. I met him too. Yeah.
I took a picture with them, Rich. I called my wife. This one guy was like, I called my wife. And she holy shit, Governor Lombardo is here.
Yeah.
And he shook my hand, and I got to talk to him a little bit. I got some buddies, man, who have more money than God, and you would never know because they wear shorts and a T-shirt.
Do you ever give yourself a day off?
Try to. I try to give myself moments of peace because days are too long.
I see. Wow.
One of my coaches, he goes, you cannot do next now. Do now. Now. Be here.
In the present.
Be here now.
Yep. I feel like a lot of people don't focus on that. They're always thinking about, okay, what's the next thing? Great example was when, I hit my first 10,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, all right, how am I going to get to the 20? How am I going to get to the 100? How am I going to get to 10 on TikTok? How am I going to get to 10 on YouTube? I was just so focused on the next. I was always so focused on like, okay, what am I going to achieve next? I mean, until recently, I never was able to be like, okay, like, look what you've done. Look at everything that you've been through, and look how far you've come. You've achieved so many goals that you've already wanted to achieve before, and you just look past them and you're looking at the next.
Do now.
Yes, sir. What are your future goals as far as, real estate and Cigars and Conversation, if you want to speak a little bit more about that too? What are your future goals?
My future goals, man, are, I want to raise good human beings.
And you will.
The titles, the accolades, the money, the influence means nothing if I don't have 2 good human beings. So it is giving them lessons that I wasn't taught to make them incredible people so that they could do more. Because when I die, all the goals I wanted don't mean anything if I don't have lineage to carry on my name.
I see. The legacy, continue the legacy.
I live a dream.
Yep. Yep.
I live a dream. And now it's fine-tuning 1 or 2 more things, right? Do Cigars and Conversation, getting more involved politically, fundraising and strategies for local candidates, opening up chapters for my political action committee and other areas, right? Grow my business, double it next year with investments and whatnot, get down to drop another 10 pounds after my knees get looked at, right? Date night weekly with my wife, separate dates with my kids once a week, right? Vacations 2 times a year with the family and 2 times by myself to recharge. How can I give in my industry and how can I give in my community? Those are all things that I think about.
There you go.
But at the end of the day, if my kids are assholes, what's it really matter?
Right. You got to teach them now.
You got to have good human beings to go out and continue the legacy.
Very, very true.
End of the day, I live a dream. Healthy kids, happy wife, incredible things, incredible experiences.
Yep.
Like there's nothing else I need because I'm enjoy practicing now. Now.
I like that, man. I love that. I love that, man. So, 5 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m., what does that day look like, day by day? That routine. What is Rich Robledo's routine?
5:15. Wake up, go downstairs, start my day with Himalayan sea salt and half a lemon with cold water. Give my body some hydration. A scoop of collagen, teaspoon of natural honey, hot water. Sitting in my kitchen waiting for both of those. I can take that, then I make a cup of coffee, go into my office, and I ask God for help. So I pray.
Start the morning with God.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
I ask him for help, and a good friend of mine told me, he goes, I'm tallest on the morning. I'm tallest during the day when I'm on my knees in the morning asking God for help. And then I spend, Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. club, right? I do 20 minutes spiritual, 20 minutes educational, and then 20-minute movement minimum. I'll either go outside, walk, right? So I can hear and take in something as I walk, right? You got to get out and you've got to move, right? And then depending on the workout, go into the office by 8:30, right? Make calls, follow up from 8:30 to 11:30, have lunch, go to appointments in the afternoon and figure out who I'm going to dinner with for the week. But I usually set all of that stuff up Sunday night. So I know what I'm doing
for the whole week.
Right?
Sure.
And then I'll sit back and I'll go, okay, I got like 5 pillars that I'm working on at any different time. How am I filling? Am I giving enough time here? Am I giving enough time there? And I believe that you should work out 7 days a week, right?
True.
And it's the
More
amount
life.
of overweight people, the amount of people that are lazy in the States is embarrassing.
Yep.
So
They don't care.
my son just turned 10. We just started going to the gym. So listen, buddy, I started working when I was 13, and I
There you
still
go.
work out every day.
Nice.
I said, this is important to me, and I'd love it if it was important to you. He goes, you're 10. You just turned 10. I said, so we're going to go. And I said, and everything we do should benefit you in some way,
Nice.
personally and in school. I said, you're playing football. This will help you throw the football.
Nice.
This will help you block. You're going to grow into being a big man. Now's the time you feed that. And he wakes up Saturday, Dad, let's go to the gym.
Nice.
Let's go.
He's pushing you now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go, right? And it's all body weight stuff. You need to be able to do sit-ups. You need to be able to do push-ups. And you need to be able to do pull-ups.
Yep.
Like, give me 10, right? And he goes, okay. Right? I believe prayer is important. At the end of the night, it's a review of my day. Where was I rude? Do I owe anybody an apology? Did I give 100% today? Right? Because I feel a lot of people don't do that review until it's too late and you can't change what you've done.
Yep. Because you're always on the go.
Always.
Always on the go. You don't even think about what you're doing.
Well, a lot of times people aren't on the go. They just get into a monotonous routine. So they'll be 50, 60, retired. Their kids haven't really accomplished anything, or they just haven't thought of what they wanted to do for themselves.
Man.
Yeah, so I know where I want to be 3 to 5. I know where I want to be the next 3 to 5. So if you sit back and listen, like Rich, where you want to be? Well, it's a moving target, because in 10 years, my son will be 18. My daughter will be 16. They're finishing college. We have a place here. We'll probably in the same house, but we're going to go. I want to do trips with the kids yearly out of the country.
Right.
This is what I want to do. But people don't ever look in at their life like that. I know where I want to be in 3 to 5. I know where I want to be in 3 to 5. Should just be small tweaks, 1 degree, 2 degrees, just like if you're flying. But people forget, if you were to take off now in LA, Vegas, and fly to New York, and your little thing that you're set your time to New York, if it's off by 1 degree, you're going to land in Boston.
Exactly.
It might not mean a lot now, but as you get further down the road, it's going to mean thousands of miles.
Right. We're going to wrap up this episode very soon, but one of the things I wanted to ask you is, what is something that you look for in a real estate deal where you're like, okay, I need to invest in that deal?
I don't see too many of those.
Especially now.
There's nothing. Everything I felt that I needed to do or had to do, 98% were bad. Because then I let emotion dictate the direction of money, and you never let emotion direct money.
Exactly.
So all my stuff is long term, right? If there are, I've missed on more deals because I've lost so much.
So you didn't have that much leverage.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's like when you put a lot of it into real estate and then you lose it all in real estate, you're extremely hesitant the second time around.
I see.
And there are no sweetheart deals.
I see. Especially now, yeah.
Now, and I can tell you now, I wish I should have. There are 4 deals I wish I would have done that I didn't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buddy, if you had told me that the Summit would be selling lots for 9 to 10 million, I would have bought a lot.
Yeah.
Those were 3.5.
That's crazy.
That started in 2016.
Wow.
Right? So it's always time, right? And that's with Charles Munger just passing. Right? He goes, I talked myself out of more deals than anything. He goes, and I'm okay with that because I've made enough good deals. There's nothing I need to do.
All right, man. Last question. So if you had to restart everything over again to make your first, we'll say $1 million, what would you do to get it quicker?
To get it quicker?
Yeah.
Probably would have invested sooner instead of waiting, right? But then on the flip side, it's investing is a different mindset than brokerage, right? So it would have been an education. I wish I would have learned more about investing sooner.
I see. In anything.
In anything.
Anything and everything.
In anything and everything. I mean, if you had bought stock in Apple 10 years ago, investing is a system, right? And if you had bought anything, if you had bought stock in Apple 10 years ago, you would have done better than buying a house 10 years ago. If you had bought a piece of land in a desirable area 10 years ago, you would have done better than buying a house. Wow. If you had bought 10 years ago into a franchise, that would have cost you as much to buy a house or $150,000 in a stock. The business, certain businesses are absolutely crushing it. Like, who would have thought that Raising Cane's would be valued at what it is?
Right. Right.
So investing is it's a mindset, and it does not need to be in one area. I wish I would have gotten more into personal development when I first got into real estate instead of 15 years after real estate.
Right. Right. So investing in yourself and investing in different assets.
Correct.
There you go. I love that, man.
What you think, D?
That.
How we do?
I love that. Well, there we go, man. We did great. How do you feel about it?
I love it, man. I'm looking forward to it. I've told myself I'm going to do more of these. I've got Sean Kelly coming up, and
yes, sir.
I've got a couple of other ones coming up, so I'm looking to finish the year strong with these podcasts, man. I wish you much success.
Thank you so much.
With yours, and I hope that having me on this show helped you tremendously.
Yes, sir. Richie Rich. Thank you so much, my man.
Thanks, brother.
I appreciate it, and I'm very, very grateful and blessed to have you as a mentor. So,
likewise,
thank you.
Man,
make sure you guys go like, comment, subscribe down below. Stay tuned for our next episode. Make sure you guys go follow the Don't Sleep podcast on all platforms. And always remember, don't sleep. We got the heat.